Hey guys, what's up? It's Brady Lewis. Let's do a quick tour. I want to show you around the site. This is not intended to be a comprehensive tour, but rather a quick show you around, kick the tires type of look at Allmoxy. Okay, so first of all, here we are on the login page. Now there's a couple ways to do this. As you're currently seeing it, this is if you have public ordering turned on, which means anybody can just land on your site and start browsing your products. They can see what you've got. They can start looking at pricing, blah, blah, blah. They'll have to create an account in order to actually order anything, but they can start off by browsing. You'll notice this is very common in most e-commerce sites. Amazon and Walmart, any other big e-commerce sites are going to have open-facing catalogs that you can browse and buy from immediately. So that's the way that this is set up. If you don't want to have it set up like this, you can have it set up a different way, which makes them log in to a login screen. And of course, they would have to have created an account, and that would have had to have been verified by you in order to get that account. So that's the other way, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for now, we're just ordering. We're gonna look at public ordering, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and log in to our demo site. Now you can do this as well by going to demo.allmoxy.com, log in as boss123 and boss123, and then just hit login. So the first page you will see is your home page. This is your page. Here's your face, your personal info. You can go ahead and edit that. Here are all your permissions, and yes, everything in the site has permissions. Here's your time card. You can see what you've done this week. Of course, there's nothing here, but there would be if I were a real employee. There's time tracking. I can see which orders I have tracked time to. So time card, time tracking at the top, clock in, clock out. There's notes. Over here on this sidebar, there's tasks. I can see my task. I can see tasks I've assigned to other people. I can see notes that I've taken about me, about others. I can attach files to this guy, and I can tag myself. Now, tags are just a way of grouping things in the site, and almost everything in the site can have a tag. So you could say, for example, this guy lives in Brooklyn, and a different guy would have a different tag of lives in Queens or whatever. And then, of course, I already showed you this a little bit, but here's where all of your information is. You can see just by looking at this list, you can get an idea of what this would control, and of course permissions. So let's go back to the home page and let's look at the navigation in the site. So every page is laid out like this. You have this top main navigation, and you have this sidebar, and you have this top search bar and personal tools. So this sidebar can be set depending on how you want it, far left, or it can be put over here in the right side. I always suggest putting it on the left side so that you can add a chat widget over on the right side. That just seems to be more common these days. People find that very easy to use. And depending on what page you're on, this information over here will change in order to navigate the page. So let's check out what these do. This is your favorites, or in other words, you can build a little workflow of pages that you always go to. So if your job is A, B, and C, and you're always looking at reports A, B, and C, you can actually stick those in here so that your flow, you don't have to go find these every time. You can just go down through and do your thing with your reports 10 times a day if necessary. So this is just a way for you to build a personal flow of reports and tools within the site. So the next icon over are our entities. So these are companies, company contacts, individuals, and the contact updater. This just deals with everybody in your site, all the people and entities and companies. This is where you'll find them, enter them, filter them, add them, all of this. So you see by just clicking around in here, this is how you would get to all these different people, and of course edit their settings. And you can look at these. There's a lot that this manages all at once. You can get an idea just by looking at the settings here of what this stuff can do. So that's where you manage all of this stuff: companies, company contacts, individuals, and contact updater. The next one over is the supplies tab. Now, a lot of people call these different names. Supplies, raw goods, the things that you order in from your vendors, do something to, and turn into your product. That's what this is dealing with, all those raw goods or supplies. So you see here you can view them, check out and order them. You can look at your purchase orders. You can batch and just manage this system in general. Now ultimately what having all these settings and all these things set up right do for you is when orders come in, the system is going to automatically create purchase orders for you by looking at your inventory, checking it against your numbers, and actually creating and sending POs, which is a huge time saver. Okay, next one over, these are your orders. So this is where you'll spend most of your time, hopefully. So here's where you can look at them, manage them, import, batch, run batches, that kind of thing. Let's just quickly look at an order while we're here. And we'll come back to this since it's such a big part of the site. Right here is the marketplace. And this is in development, and you will get more later on this. This is something we're really excited about, but basically this is going to connect you up and downstream to your customers and to your vendors and make ordering supplies and products from each other even easier. Okay, so the next one over is the financial tab, and this one deals with all things money. So you can see by looking at the list here, between invoices, statements, you've got all the tools you need to import, export, all the invoices, transaction, credit memos, everything you need to move the money and the data for the money in and out of your system into your accounting system. And once these are all configured properly, your customers are going to be able to pay quickly and easily online. Your system will collect the money by itself, and this money will flow right into your account without you having to really touch anything. The next one over are the reports. So it's just broken down into the different sections. You can look at all the different people that owe you money, and you can see a list of reporting here. These are the ones that I have permission for right now. You have to check your permissions and make sure you have permissions for all these reports. But basically this part of the site just is where you access all the different reporting tools, and this will let you have really good insight into your business, and it will help you get the data out of Allmoxy into implementation. Every single report can be exported as a CSV or printed for further analysis. And the next one over is the settings, and this is where you make your site yours. This is where you tell the site how you want it to look, which logos you want it to have, the colors, the theme, how you like to process orders, your operations, shipping and labor, all of that. Also, it's where you set up triggers, which are a major function of Allmoxy. This is where you automate everything. So this is where you can create actions that trigger other actions. So for example, if a new company submits an order, then send an email to this person saying this, and this can all be filled out automatically. So this is where you begin to really automate and eliminate a lot of that tedious labor in your shop. You can send and receive and automate just about anything in the site. And again, that was in the triggers section. So this is where you get all of your settings squared away so that your site is customized to your company. Now the other portion over here is this search bar. So at any time, if someone calls my company, I can just start typing in the name of their company, and I can find companies, I can find jobs, I can find all kinds of things with this quick search bar, and it just brings it up right here, and it's ready to go for me as soon as I click on it. The other thing that you'll find up here are your tools. So here's where you can edit your own info, go to your home page, you can create notes, tasks, and this is nice because these things over here you can do on top of whatever else you're doing. So if you're right in the middle of a task with this company and you just need to make a quick note, you can do that here and you're still on the page. All of these things are just like that. This is also where you do time tracking and scanning, meaning time tracking 2 orders, scanning your time 2 orders using barcodes. And again, we're not getting into too much detail here, just doing a quick bird's eye view of the site. So let's take a look at what happens in a typical flow. So I'm gonna log out and I'm gonna log in as a customer, and that's where we're gonna start. Okay, so I'm gonna log in as customer 123, and this is what your customer sees. So if I'm your customer, I'm gonna go in and create a new order. And I'm just gonna fill out something simple here. Just gonna get some cope and stick doors, and I hope that you know by now that this is just one way of doing it. This is just how this company wants to do things. Allmoxy is a complete configurator, and this catalog can be custom built to anything you want. So I'm just gonna add in a few things here, and we'll go ahead and save. Now you can see that I still need a name, It didn't let me order this until all the information was right. So just that fast, my customer has ordered these doors. So if I go back to my home page as that customer, I can see my limit, my balances. I can edit my info. I can see my invoices. And if I had permission, I could actually pay for these right here, but I do not. I'm just an employee of this company, so I cannot pay these. And so I can manage myself, my orders. I can look up old things and basically just take care of myself right from here. Okay, so now let's log out and let's look at this order that just came in. Let's look at this from the employee side. So let's look at our orders. Okay, there's the order we just submitted. So typically what happens is someone at your company is looking at this and saying, yep, looks good. They want it this date, but no, we're gonna do it this date. And everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and verify it. So this is actually now, at this point, it has allocated all the resources. So we know exactly how much maple we need for this order. We know how much is on hand, how much we need, and the PO side of this has been taken care of already. So if I come up here and I go to check out an order, since my numbers were low enough, it told me that I needed to order this. Typically you won't order just 4 feet of maple, but the way this site's set up, it's doing just that. Typically you would have a minimum quantity of, say, 500 board feet, and you would have a minimum quantity on hand of 500 or something like that. So to prove this works, let's go ahead and create a purchase order. So just like that, I'm just gonna go ahead and send an email. Here's the email. It should have automatically inserted, but for this vendor, I don't have the email address yet. So that it would automatically come up, and then I could just say, I need this by Tuesday or whatever, and then create and send. So just like that, with just a couple clicks, I automatically allocated and sent and completely managed all of the things that I need to do with supplies. So let's go back to the order. Okay, so resource allocation has been taken care of. Don't need any face frames. Here's my frame list. Again, these up here are called output pages, and you can create as many of these as you want, and you can organize them however you'd like. You can send different data to different lists, and you can just completely customize what goes where, how it's displayed, and make this thing accomplish whatever it is that you're doing now with your sheets in your shop. You can mimic and accomplish the same exact things, and probably add even more functionality. So between all of these lists, these panel lists, you can see what it's doing. You've got packing slips, you've got the invoice, and you can even see the results, how much labor and supplies were put into this thing versus how much you actually made. And of course, you can override anything in this order override if you have permission to use it. But the beauty is that all of this was just created automatically without any people doing anything. So now we have all of these things ready to go. If they haven't already been automatically sent using triggers, which they have, then I can manually send, print, email, all that kind of thing right from over here. But again, using triggers, this thing has already been sent to the customer with an estimated ship date, confirmation, blah, 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 whatever you need, it has already been sent. And without even touching this thing, you've done the work of a few different people. Okay, so now that all that has happened, quote, in the office, now let's look at what happens in the shop. Okay, so if I go over here to production and work schedule report, I'll see if I'm the first guy in the shop to start the job, this is typically the report that I'm working from. So it's sorting them for me. I can hover over and see kind of what I've got, and I can just go ahead and start the job. Starting the job prints all these out and gets me in the right spot. And the way that I've got this one set up is that it automatically checked out exactly what I needed of maple from my inventory. So now I can come up here to time tracking, and I can either process the job here manually, or I can do it via the scanning station. So as this order flows through the shop, you have different people doing different things to it and clocking in and out of those things and progressing it right through the shop. Now, of course, as that happens, you can have triggers going off. So say, for example, once it reaches inspection and is inspected, it can send off a trigger telling the customer that it's been inspected, completed, it's ready to go, and will be delivered on X day. Oh, and by the way, this is your balance, and here's a link to pay your bill down before we get there. So other parts of the daily flow might include things like assigning tasks to each other, making notes, and really it's about taking care of the customers. So let's say the ABC cabinet calls and they have a problem. ABC Telecom, not sure why we're building doors for them. But anyway, they call and they're having problems. So I can come over here and I can say, these guys called with problems, they had some problems with sanding. Anyone in the company now can reference and see what's going on with this customer. At the same time, my salesman the next day is dropping in on them and they can see that this happened. So they can call the shop and say, hey, did this thing get taken care of? And because when they called, I actually added a task and told a guy to look at the sander, and I assigned it to somebody. This is my sanding guy. He got a text message of that and he's on it. A few minutes later he reports back, got fixed, and I say that it got fixed. So now as a salesman coming into this appointment, I know where we're at. I can tell them what's happened, what we did, and walk out of there giving an update on the new attitude of that company. Are they happy or not? Blah, blah, blah. Now, this is incredibly powerful. It's one way to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. Everything is all in one place, accessible, and you can take care of customers. All right, we're going to stop it there. I wanted this to be short. There are lots of other videos, lots of other resources for you. You can check out the demo site, and also when you sign up, there are tons and tons of videos and training resources. This is just made to let you kick the tires a little bit before you really get into things. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.